All right. Now we come to chapter 5 of The Hobbit, Riddles in the Dark. So let's get started. When Bilbo opened his eyes, he wondered if he had, for it was just as dark as with them shut. No one was anywhere near him. Just imagine his fright. He could hear nothing, see nothing, and he could feel nothing except the stone of the floor. Very slowly he got up and groped about on all fours till he touched the wall of the tunnel, but neither up nor down it could he find anything, nothing at all. No signs of goblins, no sign of dwarves. His head was swimming, and he was far from certain even of the direction they had been going in when he had his fall. He guessed as well as he could, and crawled along for a good way, till suddenly his hand met what felt like a tiny ring of cold metal lying on the floor of the tunnel. It was a turning point in his career, but he did not know it. He put the ring in his pocket almost without thinking. Certainly it did not seem of any particular use at the moment. And so he goes on. So, yes, this is the point in the story where Bilbo finds the One Ring. And you'll notice here it is different than what you see in the Hobbit live-action film. I think the animated movie, was a little bit closer to this. But there you have it. And so he goes on, and he comes to the lake, and of course in the middle of the lake is a little island with a cave, and that's where Gollum lives. I don't know where he came from, nor who or what he was. He was Gollum, as dark as darkness, except for two big, round, pale eyes in his thin face. He had a little boat, and he rowed about quite quietly on the lake, for a lake it was, wide and deep, and deadly cold. And when we get to the Lord of the Rings, we do find out what Gollum is, and we are given a little hint of what he is here in the book. Because when he's going through the riddle game with Bilbo, it does mention, well, actually before that, while this is happening, it says, riddles were all he, Gollum, could think of. Asking them and sometimes guessing them had been the only game he had ever played with other funny creatures sitting in their holes in the long, long ago, before he lost all his friends and was driven away alone and crept down to the dark under the mountains. So, and of course we're in the goblin tunnels, but it mentions holes. Gollum, obviously, is a hobbit. That is a clue right there. Although I don't think that was exactly what I was looking for, but anyway. And of course we have a precedent here with this riddle game. You see in Greek mythology, the story of Odysseus, the riddle of the Sphinx. In Anglo-Saxon, there's a lot of riddles in that language that Tolkien knew because he was a scholar of Old English. Some of these are, I think a couple of the riddles in here are actual Old English riddles. And it's funny when people will tell me a riddle, and when they would, I would never really understand them. I still probably don't. Like, you could tell me a riddle, I probably won't get it. But anyway, I wanted to mention what Gollum looks like, because it does mention that he's Gollum, as dark as darkness. So you think maybe that he has dark skin, but Tolkien sets us straight on that. I'm going to turn to the Nature of Middle-earth. Why did I even forget the name of the book? Wow. He gives a little description in here of what Gollum looks like. He is often said to be dark or black. At his first mention, he was dark as darkness. That, of course, means no more than that he could not be seen with ordinary eyes in the black cavern, except for his own large, luminous eyes. Similarly, the dark shape at night, which is mentioned in Lord of the Rings, but that does not apply to the black crawling shape where he was in moonlight, also in Lord of the Rings. Gollum was never naked. He had a pocket in which he kept the ring. He evidently had black garments, and in the Eagle Passage, where it is said that from far above, as he lay on the ground, he would look like the famished skeleton of some child of men, its ragged garments still clinging to its long arms and legs, almost bone white and bone thin. His skin was white, no doubt with a pallor increased by dwelling long in the dark, and later by hunger. He remained a human being, not an animal. And it mentions that he had webbed feet, something you don't see in the movies. He doesn't have webbed feet. You see him wearing a loincloth. No, he actually wears clothes. And yeah, so it's just weird. And again, so he plays the riddle game here, and he stumps Gollum, as you know, by asking, "What have I got in my pocket?" And he accidentally puts the ring on, or the ring slips onto his finger. He runs from Gollum. And then he has to run from the goblins. Now, in the Hobbit movie, you see that when he gets stuck, it's when he's being chased by Gollum, and they don't show him being chased by goblins. Here, it is the goblins that are chasing him when he gets stuck, and he squeezes through the little crack and loses all of his buttons, whatever. He escapes. And it mentions that the goblins don't like the sunlight. And it's the same thing with the orcs. And it does mention orcs in this chapter, but it says that they're the big goblins, which is kind of confusing because in Lord of the Rings, goblins and orcs is used interchangeably. So, which is it? It's a little confusing, but I know what Peter Jackson did in the movies is how I always imagined it. The goblins are the small orcs, and then orcs themselves are the bigger goblins. Because that's what it says here in The Hobbit. Two more things to point out is that this chapter was different in the first edition than it is in these later editions, because Gollum was originally going to give Bilbo the ring as a present for winning the game. But of course, when Tolkien was writing Lord of the Rings and the ring becomes more evil, he realized that that wasn't going to work anymore. And so you begin to see in this book the evil will of the ring beginning to work in both Gollum and in Bilbo. The second point to bring up, Gollum actually existed prior to The Hobbit in a poem called Glip that Tolkien wrote in about 1928. And I'm going to go, to finish up here, I'm going to read this poem. Under the cliffs of Bimble Bay is a little cave of stone, with wet walls of shining gray, and on the floor a white bone that is gnawed quite clean, with sharp white teeth. But inside nobody can be seen. He lives far underneath, under the floor down a long hole where the sea gurgles and sighs. Glip is his name, as blind as a mole, and his two round eyes while daylight lasts, but when night falls with a pale gleam they shine, like green jelly, and out he crawls, all along and wet with slime. He slinks through weeds at high water mark to where the mermaid sings, the wicked mermaid singing in the dark and threading golden rings. On wet hair from many ships she draws to the rock to die, and Glip listens and quietly slips, and lies in shadow by. It is there that Glip steals his bones. He is a slimy little thing, sneaking and crawling under fishy stones, and slinking home to sing a gurgling song in his damp hole. But after the last light, there are darker and wickeder things that prowl on Bimble rocks at night. Interesting, huh? When I had heard about that years ago, I'm like, man, I gotta read this poem. You finally can, with, the collected poems of J.R.R. Tolkien, which is another... Everything that he wrote is great. That's why I continue to buy this stuff, read the stuff, and why I'm doing these videos. To kind of share and my love for this stuff with all of you, and because I love this stuff so much, I love talking about it, and I don't really get a chance to talk about it much, because sometimes when you talk to certain people about it, they don't want to talk a whole lot, and after a while, maybe they get annoyed or something. I don't know. But hey, I can't help it. I'm a fan of this, and any chance I get to talk about it, I'm just gonna take it. So anyway, video's gone a little bit longer than I was expecting it to, but I'm gonna try every day to bring at least 1, 2, maybe 3 videos. I gotta get this book done. I'm about to go on vacation. I kind of want to get it done before I leave, so that way when I come back, I can do Lord of the Rings. Anyway, that is all for now. I will see you all later. Have fun.